Welcome to Inspiring Teachers, a show bringing you classroom tips, motivation, and stories from successful educators. Join Tavis Beam and Danny Hogger as they explore the why of teaching.
Welcome to Inspiring Teachers. I'm Danny Hogger alongside Grant, Beyer, and Chris Bonnie. Guys, thanks so much for being with you.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Being with me, but I said being with you, but since there's two of you, that kind of works.
Yeah, that does work.
Thanks for being with you.
Yeah,
that we're all with each other.
Two's better than one.
That's it. And also with you, for any of the Catholic teachers out there. So great to be with you today. In this show, we inspire, motivate, and offer stories about the why of teaching and give back to a profession that gives to so many people. So really excited to have a duo with us. Tavis Beam on special assignment will join us for the next episode. So I don't really know where to start here. I'm going to start in the middle because the man in the middle is so crucial to this team.
The important guy here.
Chris Bonnie, tell me how you got into teaching. We're all high school teachers. It's my first year. I got to know you guys really quick because you do so much activity coordinating. You give so much to your students, so much heart and energy and activities that I knew I wanted to talk to you. But how did you get into teaching? Because I know very little about your path and your journey into teaching.
So mine was a straight-minded journey to teaching.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I played school with my little brother, and I was always the teacher, and he was always the student. And just from there, I kind of just guided and got into teaching. I've always worked with kids. All of my jobs have been working with kids, babysitting, after-school program, coaching, refereeing, umpiring. The only, I guess, job I haven't had that's been working with kids is Big Five, but So
we're gonna let it slide. We're gonna
Big Five.
Make sure that's the only resume line that doesn't include kids. We're gonna keep this up. Just kidding.
And so, it's always been teaching. It's always been working with kids and teaching math. And I feel like math is a subject that the kids struggle with the most. And I wanted to help them with that subject. So that's kind of just straight-minded, wanted to teach.
Okay, Grant, similar story, different story.
Pretty different, to be honest with you. It wasn't until I was a junior in college that I switched my major from business to liberal studies, or more specifically, social science. During college, I also had a passion for law enforcement as well, and so I was pursuing being a police officer, and at that point in time it was 2007, 2008. That's when the housing market crashed.
I remember that.
And so a lot of the backgrounds, the academy shut down just because of budget cuts and whatnot. And I was pursuing both at the same time, my teaching credentials and then doing law enforcement. And I just really felt like God was opening up a door with the teaching thing, shutting down the academies for the financial reasons. And so I pursued teaching, and I got my first sub job right out of college, and then I got my first teaching position when I was 23 up in Bernie, California. So
sweet.
It's kind of cool. The Reader's Digest version of my journey.
It's really neat that people go through different courses to arrive in their first classroom. We've interviewed about a dozen teachers so far, and I'd say it's right close to 50-50 for people who knew right away that that's something they wanted to pursue, and for people who had the door open and the possibility open to them.
Right.
That's cool.
What is it about teaching that really, if people ask you, why do you teach, Chris, what is it that you enjoy? Because I hear from your students all the time that, which is funny because, teachers shouldn't really be talking about their teachers. But on the positive side, I knew I was going to talk to them. Tell me a couple things, right?
Right.
I need the inside. Tell me about this Big Five experience.
Right? Sports.
We're getting a lot of Big Five plugs in here. We're looking for sponsors, by the way. But why? What is your why of teaching? What is it for you that gets you up in the morning, gets you excited about what you do?
It's knowing that we can change a kid's life. And there's so many paths that the kids go on. They have all these different stories. And it's knowing that we can change someone's life. We have, how many kids a semester? 170?
Sure.
We may not change everybody, but knowing that we made a difference in somebody's life out of that 170 is why I teach, is why I'm here.
Is
knowing that.
For sure. That is so great. Grant, what about you?
It's pretty similar to that, Danny. Bottom line, at the end of the day, is some of these kids, we don't know their stories. We don't know when they come through the door, or whether or not they're hurting at home, or whether or not they're dealing with either relationship problems, family issues, whatever the case is. Some kids come to school to feel loved. And if we can make it, like Chris said, if we can make a difference in just one kid's life, by the way we treat them, just by encouraging words, just by saying hi, and just really showing, I just feel like opening ourselves up to them a little bit, being real and honest with them.
Vulnerable.
Being vulnerable. Yeah. And I think the kids really grab onto that. And so I make it a mission for myself, and I love history and I love teaching history, but the building relationships, I think, goes so much farther with our students if you focus on that, and they'll work for you. They'll do all these things for you if they know that you care about them.
Absolutely. That's such a huge thing. It was what I wanted to do too, because I came from middle school for 4 years. So when I got here, first day, I put it all on the line. I don't know how many teachers do this, but here's my life story real quick. Like, here's everything I've done. Here's funny things that have happened to me. Here's mistakes that I made in high school, being shy, thinking, can't talk to that girl, and make them laugh, open up, be yourself. And then telling them, by the way, I just laid it all out on the line for you, faults and everything. Here's who I am.
Yeah.
It's okay to be who you are in here too.
Amen.
And that's always going to be okay. And that's safe, and you're safe here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And if you
exactly.
ever need anything, I'm not your opponent. I'm here to work with you. And I think that just does so much. And it's paid dividends. We're sitting here midway through the year, right? My first semester completed, had only good relationships in the classroom. And I think it's because what you put out there, and often in life too, is what you're going to get back.
You open up, and they're going to open up to you.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I've experienced too, and just even as you're getting closer to the holidays specifically, that it's supposed to be a great time, right? A fun time, be with family. But a lot of these kids are going through things,
Yeah.
and so I've even had just as of recent, just kids breaking down because they're struggling in whether it's school or whether it's family stuff or whatever it is. It's like you just never know like what kind of impact you're gonna make, and so when kids come and open up to you, you realize that they trust you, one, and they're wanting to be encouraged, and so I don't take that lightly. You really want to. I mean, for me, I know same with Chris and same with you, Danny. I mean, I've heard great things about you in your first semester, so it's fantastic.
It's not Big Five, but continue.
I think being open and honest, sometimes even when it's difficult, is good. I mean, I think it just harvests relationships that can grow and build, and you end up just building some fantastic relationships amongst the 4 years you have a student, or even if it's a student you've had for one semester. You just never know.
They're going to remember the experience with you with the relationship a lot more than the content.
Yeah.
Like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember what you did with them in the classroom and how they felt.
That's a great point. And another add-on to that is they could get that from any teacher. But what are they going to get from Chris Bonnie and Grant Beyer and Danny Hoggart that they're not going to get from another teacher, right? That's what comes from being yourself.
Sure.
Exactly.
And I don't remember that many of my teachers that did that opened up, but I do remember the ones that did, and how they did it, and how it felt to be in that classroom. Trying to create that, I think, is huge. It's a great goal. What's one or two things that you would advise someone who's coming into a classroom? How do you set up that environment? What's one or two things that each of you do that you think leaves that door open for students?
Start this time.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier, Danny, is just that opening, like your first impressions are big with students.
Yeah.
And so I think for me too is sharing about my life. And they'll be like, hey, this is how I got here. This is who I am. Good things, bad things, and different things, whatever. I mean, I'm not perfect. I let the kids know, like, hey, I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not asking you to be perfect, but I want to harvest a good relationship in this room where you feel comfortable, the environment, you feel comfortable. And then with anything that you say, you got to back it up. I mean, you have to be able to be consistent. And so showing consistency over time, whether it's, hey, I'm going to be here, so when you show up, I'm here. I usually get here in the mornings at 6:30. Just my time to to kind of focus on the day and who I need to focus on, because there's some kids that need extra attention or whatever it is. Just by opening up that environment, but also just being consistent with what you say. I think for me, like kind of what you said, sharing my story. This is who I am. No strings attached. This is who I am, right? And so they know a little bit about me, right? Then maybe they'll feel a little more comfortable sharing, when they're going through a difficult time.
For sure.
So, and also too, I don't mean to take the
No, take all hour you want.
One of the things that I always tell the kids is like when they go through like that door, like leading outside my classroom, I don't know what's going on in your life, right? Everyone's experiencing something different. And so if they can feel loved and cared for in the classroom that I'm in, then that may be the only place that they're getting that. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm venture to guess that that's not the case all the time, but it may be for that day. And so just always encouraging and letting kids know that we're here.
That's great. So time, openness, and encouragement.
Yeah.
Chris, what would you add on to that?
So the very first week, I don't start any content matter at all.
Yep.
I believe that developing a trust with the students, developing the relationship, like we talked about before with you guys, is that it's pretty important to develop the relationship to be open with these kids so they can see us, not just as teachers, but as us. So the first week, there is no content in the classroom. I kind of go through motivational tools to help them, such as games we play. And I kind of talk about stories, not about my life, about others, and how we can get through math together. So I actually share with them that I actually failed a couple math classes in high school. And so when they hear that, Mr. Bonnie, you're a math teacher and you failed, wow, okay, like what does it mean to me? Like I can do it.
Yeah.
And so my first impression, they walk in, there's no math at all. I want to develop the relationship that I have with these kids before we start any math.
It's great.
So it's cool.
No, I love it. And that's that honesty is powerful. I'm sure that catches a lot of eyes and props a lot of chins up too. To pay
When they
attention to
hear that.
And that's encouraging. That's motivation. That feels good. Those are really good things. So thanks for sharing all of that.
Of course.
Yeah, no problem.
So I have one more question before we play a game, because I know that you two being the fun teachers on
Yes,
campus,
let's play.
I couldn't just do the simple questions without
play a game.
attempt at a game.
Competition.
Yeah, let's
love
do it. I'm winning.
The last question is, before you get all revved up and adrenaline, is let's say you have a student leaving your room at the end of a year, end of a class term. What's one thing you wish they learned from you besides just curriculum, Grant?
Okay. To be honest, the one thing I hope kids, when they leave my classroom, and they go on to whether it's working or college, whatever it is, that they knew I really, truly, genuinely cared for them. And that's the bottom line, is they feel like they can come back and they can chat. We can still have that relationship. It's not just in the walls of high school.
Nice.
That I really care for them. That's what I hope that they all understand.
It's fantastic.
So when they leave my class, one thing I want them to know that they learned is that if they work hard, they can reach any goal that they want to. So my class is it's a challenging class. And so I'm available in the morning, at lunch, and after school for help. And when I see kids come in and they ask for help, like once a week or whatever, I feel that they are going to be ready with anything that life throws at them once they leave my class and they leave high school. Because they worked hard, they knew what to do, and they're going to do that out in the real world.
That's great. I love that. I run through a similar message that, if they've decided that they can't do something, they're right. But if they decide they can, they're also right. They're the ones that who will limit themselves. As soon as they close off a door to themselves, they'll never consider it again, right? So you go look at a first grader, they're good at everything, and they feel good about everything they do, right?
Sure.
You go to a fourth, fifth, sixth grader, suddenly they're not good at art, they're not good at math, they're not good at science. So where did that come from, So I always tell them that whatever they want to do, they're the ones who will power themselves through it or decide to quit and do something else. And there's many roads to success and happiness. Sure. And you can go down many paths. As long as you have a good foundation, you make good decisions. But I think they need to know, I feel like Brentwood has some similarities to Stockton, where I grew up, where more so in Stockton, where you feel like you may be limited on how far you can go, especially during that housing market where they were leading the nation in foreclosures and crime was rising very high. Right. I had a lot of people tell me, you'll never do radio, you'll never do broadcasting. I made sure I remembered that when I got to LA and I was talking in the morning radio show that, I use that as motivation. I didn't let it shut me down because you can decide when you quit. No one else for you. So that's really good advice. Now let's play a silly game that totally demeans all the powerful stuff we've said.
Nice.
All right, so this is a try not to laugh teacher joke challenge. All right, so now a couple of my students said this might be a bit of a challenge for all of us, but I'm going to be the reader here.
I'm already laughing.
For Bonnie.
I'm already laughing. You two are heading off against each other, right?
Okay.
So the rules here are simple.
Game face on.
You put your game face on, you don't break, you don't laugh, you don't chuckle. Now, some of these are genuinely bad, like they're not that funny. So some of these are going to be like a handoff to you. But a few, I think, may get you, all right? So you lose a point if you laugh. Person with the least amount of points lost is going to be victorious. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Here we go. And hopefully none of these jokes push any major buttons. We'll let that go.
Please report to the main office.
Is that the first joke?
All right, so here we go. Question, joke one. When I was a kid, a bully used to always take my lunch money. He still does every day, but on the plus side, he makes great Subway sandwiches. Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
A -1 there.
sorry.
-2.
Keep a little scoreboard here.
There you go, bud.
Yeah, and we'll put some graphics on the
Subway
board.
Eat Fresh, bud. Come on.
That was so bad. I laughed.
Yeah.
Subway Eat Fresh.
Some of them are there, yeah. So here we go.
All right.
I know we're in a public school here, but as long as there are tests in school, there will always be prayer in school. Good. Very good. I'm proud of you both. My old English teacher used to ask us all the time, if I say I am beautiful, which tense is that? And I had a student one time that replied, it is obviously past. Good, good. I'm kind of listening for laughter. I'm not even looking at your faces. I just want to see what's going on here. But, we're coming up on prom season, guys. So you know what I hate about prom jokes? The punchline. It's always way too long.
Come on.
It
man.
is, bud.
It's kind of
It is
funny.
way too long.
Okay, all right. I'm counting that one.
Oh,
Both. You got to maintain even after the other person breaks. You got to.
Dude, that's way too long.
Maintain.
All right, this one's a little complicated, but there's a family, and the son comes home, and the father tells the wife, the son tells the family, I got a D in math. And then the dad says, that's really bad. So he turns to the wife and says, you need to stop doing the boys' homework.
Bud, that's bad.
Gasp for air.
What's the dad doing, bud? Give him a D, bud.
All right.
Oh, man.
College costs, but definitely tuition's expensive. But it's more like a ransom if you think about it. They demand $100,000 from you, or they will send your kid back home. Good, you guys are back in it again. Good job. Here's another one. My math teacher called me average the other day. How mean.
That was a good one.
You did good
that
to
was
retain.
a good one. I was going to say, that's
good.
a...
You did good
that
to
was
hold
impressive.
your wall on that one. That was
That
good.
was good.
Let's see. So I hear a lot of teachers complaining about student manners these days. You know, if this keeps up in 20 years, I bet there's going to be a college course called eye contact. Good. I didn't think that one was strong either. This one, though.
Almost broke.
This one, though. I wanted to make a joke about sodium for a science teacher down the hall, but then I decided, nah. Yeah!
Come on. That's good.
All right, Bonnie, you're winning this thing. We got 3 or 4 more here. Let's see if we can decide to. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that one.
That was a good one.
You know, this one's more like just meaningful to me. I think this could be the quote of the day. You know what the trouble with learning from experience is? You never graduate. It's true. It's so true. But let's move on. You guys hear about that math teacher? He's really afraid of negative numbers. He'll stop at nothing to avoid them.
That's something right there. I heard a little giggle right there.
I cost him the other. I'm gonna let him keep that one.
Okay.
He's just breathing. He's trying to make sure oxygen
Sweating
enters his
here.
body. I don't want any collapses here. I don't want to use my internet-based CPR.
Yes.
All right. So, what do you call an academically high-achieving slice of bread?
What's that?
An
What
honor
is it?
roll. Okay, Grant, you avoided eye contact. I think that helped you there.
I think it did too.
So we're on a podcast talking education. Education is definitely very important, but other stuff is more importanter. You guys are good. You're doing a lot
good.
better than I thought. 2 more, and you. Woo! So Bonnie, you got to hold strong here, and you're going to win this thing if you don't laugh at these last 2 jokes.
Come on, just think about page 133.
Mal bud.
Oh boy. Someone said you would say that.
Mal
That's a little
Mal
context.
But
Okay, last 2. Why did the students eat their homework, you guys?
Because they wanted to get out.
No, a teacher said it was a piece of cake.
that was something right there.
We're tied. We're tied. We're tied. And there's only one left.
All right.
Other day, a student falls asleep in class. Teacher says, hey, you sleeping in my class? Student says, well, I would be if you were a little quieter. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't plan for sudden death. I don't have that many jokes off the cuff, especially not that are all ages appropriate. So I think we'll call it a day. Chris Bonnie, Grant Beyer, thanks so much for being teachers and everything that you do.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you,
man.
it was fun.
We'll
Seriously,
have
thanks
you
for having
again
us on.
sometime, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about another specific issue in teaching. Does that sound good?
Sounds
I love
good.
it.
For now, like, subscribe, and share. Send it to a teacher in your life that you care about. And don't forget, Danny Hogger Music's available on iTunes and Amazon, as well as subscribing to this podcast and the Hogger History podcast and the Hogger History store and Teachers Pay Teachers. Hey, teachers gotta make money, right?
This guy's the man over here.
And this guy does real estate. So if you need somebody,
hey.
there we go. We'll
bet.
talk to you on the next edition of Inspiring Teachers. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys.